We have major news right now. We are just over 1 day away from a government shutdown that could impact millions of Americans. And the White House has a clear message to Democrats fighting to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies. Quote, go fuck yourself. That's a message that the White House is sending to Democrats on Capitol Hill who are trying to use the government shutdown deadline as a way to save Affordable Care Act subsidies and keep healthcare premiums for many Americans reduced. Here's what's happening right now. House Republicans and House Democrats, Senate Republicans and Senate Democrats, the leadership of all caucuses will be meeting at the White House with Donald Trump. That means Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, John Thune, and Mike Johnson, those four in the Oval Office with Donald Trump. And we are now just over 1 day away from a government shutdown. Republicans want what is called a clean CR, a continuing resolution. It's a bill that would fund the government for a period of 30, 60, or 90 days. It's a temporary band-aid on this larger issue. The House of Representatives has already passed it, but the Senate has refused it. Because even though in the House, you only need a simple majority of Republicans, which they have, in the Senate, Republicans need 60 votes. They only have 53. So they want a clean CR. Democrats, well, they say, you know what? We don't want just a clean CR. We want to make sure that Affordable Care Act subsidies that keep healthcare premiums low for low-income Americans and middle-income Americans, that they be extended. Because right now, the subsidies for the ACA expire at the end of the month. And if they're not extended, well, healthcare premiums could shoot up to 75% as soon as this year for a large swath of the American public. And so they're saying, we're not going to keep the government open and just cave to your demands if you're going to cut healthcare access potentially from millions and make it a lot more expensive to have healthcare in America. So that's where the two sides are at. And while the White House, seeing the demands from House and Senate Democrats, literally sent a message essentially saying, go fuck yourself. They don't want to negotiate. And today's meeting between Schumer, Jeffries, and Republicans, well, it doesn't seem like there's going to be much negotiation. And in fact, you may see Donald Trump just explode on television. We're going to see really what happens. But if there is a government shutdown, here's what you should expect, because it's going to impact a lot of people. First, thousands of federal employees will be furloughed or fired. Typically, during government shutdown, non-essential employees are what is called furloughed. They are not working, they are not being paid, they essentially are away from work. Essential employees will be forced to come into work regardless. Essential employees are like TSA agents, postal workers, some U.S. attorneys, people like that. Well, a number of federal employees will be furloughed without pay. That will happen the moment the government shutdown starts, so midnight on October 1st. But here it's going to be a little different because the White House is pledging not just to furlough these federal employees this time around, but actually fire them. So the White House is preparing to mass fire federal employees. Typically, when you're furloughed, you come back with back pay and you get your job back. Now they're saying, you know what? We're just going to fire employees from programs that are not funded, which is about 80-85% of the federal government that will run out of funding at midnight on October 1st. So that's step one. Many people will lose their jobs. Step two, national parks will close. National parks are already severely understaffed. And, well, they're going to close pretty soon after a government shutdown begins because they're so understaffed and because the federal funding does not cover national parks and employees working there. Number three, Social Security benefits will be impacted. Social Security and Medicare will have severe impacts. While payments will continue as scheduled, it is likely that both federal programs will cease accepting new applicants and will not issue new cards to applicants. If you recall, back in the 1995-1996 shutdown, it was a little while ago, over 10,000 applicants were actually turned away by the federal government. Fourth, EPA inspections could stop. The EPA will stop all site inspections for areas that contain hazardous waste, drinking water, and chemical facilities, while the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, could halt or delay inspections of facilities and or products. Both of these have occurred in 2019 during the first Trump administration shutdown that lasted several weeks, and then during the 2012 shutdown as well. And then fifth, air travel could be impacted. So TSA agents and air traffic control officers are essential and will continue to operate, but people who are flying will face longer lines and longer wait times because there'll be fewer agents actually staffed during the shutdown. And so your life is going to be impacted. And the longer a shutdown goes, the worse it gets for the American people. And right now, it doesn't appear as though there's going to be any deal struck before the shutdown deadline. But I will provide you further updates because right now, White House is saying, you know what? Go fuck yourself, Democrats. In other news, and before I continue, please consider subscribing to support my work. We're sending a one-time donation via Venmo to Aaron-Parnas. The NFL has announced that Puerto Rican artist Bad Bunny, a three-time Grammy winner, will headline the 2026 Super Bowl halftime show at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. Bad Bunny celebrated the news as a tribute to his Puerto Rican heritage and to his people, but the decision outraged from MAGA commentators who criticized the choice because of his past political stances, including mocking Donald Trump. Yesterday, the horrific shooting at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc Township, Michigan, has now confirmed left 4 dead, 8 injured when 40-year-old suspect Thomas Jacob Sanford drove into the building, opened fire with an assault rifle, and set the church ablaze. Authorities found possible improvised devices at the scene and are investigating the tragedy as an act of targeted violence, while praising worshippers who shielded children and noted Sanford was killed within minutes by police. This morning, Donald Trump woke up and announced 100% tariffs on all movies made outside of the United States of America. At the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation's Phoenix Awards, former Vice President Kamala Harris denounced Donald Trump as, quote, unchecked, incompetent, unhinged president, urging Democrats to fight fire with fire ahead of the 2026 midterms. Oregon has filed a federal lawsuit to block Donald Trump's order deploying 200 National Guard members on the ground in Florida, on the ground in Portland, arguing that the move is illegal and based on social media gossip. In an exclusive interview with NBC News, Donald Trump accused former FBI Director Christopher Wray of, quote, inappropriate conduct and suggested that the Department of Justice is investigating him. Today, the Supreme Court will decide many cases over whether or not to take them, including Ghislaine Maxwell's bid to overturn part of her conviction for recruiting and grooming teenage girls for Jeffrey Epstein. Her lawyers argue that a 2007 Florida non-prosecution deal with Epstein should shield her. Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe signed a Trump-backed congressional redistricting map into law aiming at giving Republicans one additional seat by redrawing Democratic Representative Emmanuel Cleaver's Kansas City district into Republican-heavy rural areas, reducing Black and minority representation. Dolly Parton has announced that she is postponing her December 2025 Las Vegas residency at Caesars Palace due to unspecified health challenges. And finally, Moldova's pro-European Party of Action and Solidarity, led by President Maia Sandu, won a clear parliamentary majority with just over 50% of the vote, defeating the pro-Russian Patriotic Electoral Bloc amid allegations of massive Russian interference. That's all the news right now. As always, make sure to subscribe to support my work, and I will see you this afternoon with another update, so stay tuned for more.